The last time the Halloween franchise had a video game was over 40 years ago on the Atari 2600. Why it took so long to get a new version of Michael Myers in video game form, I don't know, but it's finally arrived with Retrorealms Halloween, a throwback side-scroller game that lets you take control of Michael Myers and slash your way through a variety of enemies and locations so you can truly feel like the Shape during this Halloween season without having to kill anybody in real life. Well, at least hopefully, but you do you. Honestly, I didn't even realize that this game was coming out or that it was going to be a thing, but to entice me even more, it actually comes right alongside an Evil Dead game in the same style. So wait a minute, literally my two all-time favorite horror franchises packaged together in a classic side-scrolling beat-em-up style video game. This is like the greatest Halloween season gift ever. So how could I not check this out? Now, the two franchises don't cross over in terms of their story or anything, but you can play as whichever character you want in whichever universe you want. Though, as of right now, I have not played the Ash vs. Evil Dead segment of the game because I wanted to give you guys a festive October season style video and give you more of an in-depth look at the Halloween game specifically, so I did play through it in its entirety. But if you do like this video and you want a review for the Evil Dead portion of the game, just let me know, and I got you. But besides taking me back to my childhood when I used to play a shit ton of Super Nintendo games that are just like this, I just want to say how stoked I am to finally have a horror franchise game that's not the same online multiplayer match-based bullshit once again. I mean, sure, the Friday the 13th game was fun, and it did it well, but after that, it felt like every big horror franchise just tried to do the exact same style. Evil Dead, Texas Chainsaw, those kind of games are some of my least favorite formats to play. Maybe it's because I grew up an isolated only child playing literally this type of shit over and over, but something about those games, I just hate being forced to have to play online with other people. If it was an option, that's cool, but when it's mandatory, I just hate that. When I play a video game, I want to sit down, get into my zone, and do it all by myself, and I get to do that here. It starts with you in an arcade, and you get to choose which two of the games to play. With Halloween, you start out in Smith's Grove Sanitarium, but you're not playing through the movie storyline. Well, kinda. Instead, the game goes batshit crazy from the very start, but in a game like this, that's kinda what you want. Michael is trapped in his cell, but thankfully they let him keep his suit and mask on while he's imprisoned. The staff has gotten a lot more lenient lately. But then, a motherfucking demon shows up out of nowhere. It calls itself the Overlord, and it wants Michael to cause as much death and destruction as he can in its name. Michael's response is priceless. The Overlord has stolen Judith Meyer's tombstone as leverage, and after giving Mikey his trusty knife and freeing him from the cell, the first stage is you playing as Michael Myers, killing your way through the sanitarium, cutting down patients and staff alike. It starts out fairly simplistic. Your short-range attack is the knife, which you can also charge up to do a more powerful thrust. Every kill gives you either some life, some ammunition, or some candy corn that you can build up and use to trade in to make yourself stronger as you go along. The long-range attacks are the ones that you have to find by killing civilians. Basically, the only people that don't try to attack you. But you have to do it before they run away, or else you don't get the item. This will give you either a rake, a hammer, or a variety of other weapons that you can throw and toss, and these become super important, but unlike the knife, which is endless, these are limited, so you have to keep acquiring more ammo to use them. These become particularly important when you're fighting boss battles, so I would highly recommend limiting the use of them the best that you can until the boss fights. The other thing is, due to your pact with the Overlord, you have an item that can essentially warp you into what's called the Nightmare Realm. But no, unfortunately, Freddy Krueger does not show up, but for a limited time, the world transforms into a hellscape where you battle demons and other monstrosities. In order to get to particular places in the game, you'll need to swap back and forth between the two different worlds. You'll get used to it fairly quickly. Anytime you get stuck or you don't know where to go, just swap to the other dimension, and you'll likely find a new area to explore. As for the maps, they're your traditional side-scrolling type. You'll have to grip onto the walls a lot, kind of like that old Batman Nintendo game, if anybody remembers that. And there's, of course, those damn moving platforms that are in all of these type of games. The scenario is extremely familiar and common, but now you have a new coat of Halloween paint all over it, and that novelty is more than enough for me to enjoy it. Just getting to be Michael Myers slashing his way to victory in a video game is something that I've wanted my entire life. And whenever I play these 2D video games, it just takes me right back to my childhood. There's a bizarre comfort here as I'm splattering innocent blood all over the walls. It's kind of nice. Now, I do want to talk about the different stages one by one, so if you care about spoilers or seeing farther into the game before you play it yourself, feel free to stop the video anytime. I'm going to go in order, so whenever you feel like you've seen enough, then you can just click away. But please be so kind as to leave a like first. I would appreciate it. Pretty much you have 2 parts to each stage with 5 stages in all, so you get 5 total boss battles. And truthfully, the first boss fight felt like it was the most difficult to me, but that could also be because I was fresh getting into the game. You fight this fellow mental patient that's roided out of his mind, and basically with all of these bosses, there is a specific strategy in order to beat them. It's just a matter of figuring out what that is. And to figure that out will take you a couple of tries. Basically, you can't just run up and slash them button mashing style. You need to be a bit more patient and methodical with it. And this is also why I say the long-range weapons become super important, because you can get a good amount of his life down with those before you have to start really focusing. The second stage you go to is Phelps Garage, which is the name of the service where Michael got his jumpsuit from. And of course, Michael is already wearing his jumpsuit here, so I guess he's just here for the hell of it. The second stage is also where it starts to get a little bit more difficult. Maybe I'm out of practice with these kind of games, but there are some moments in this game that are incredibly difficult, particularly after stage 2, but here is where you get a little flavor of what's to come. Most of the time, if you die, it also starts you all the way back at the beginning of the stage. Yeah, so memorization is your friend. You can get hit a bunch, but whatever you do, don't die. The more enemies that you kill, the more chances you have of getting some life tokens, and there are enough good items that you can get to keep you going, but it can get a bit overwhelming. At the end of the second stage, you fight this guy in a demonic tractor, and it kind of reminds me of something you would fight at the end of a Sonic the Hedgehog level. Take that for what it is. The third stage, you finally get to Haddonfield. Actually, come to think of it, you go from the Sanitarium to the mechanic shop to Haddonfield. Maybe this is following the movie after all. Maybe this is actually how Michael escaped the asylum that night. Maybe some giant weird demon monster let him out. Maybe that monster also enchanted him with the ability to drive, and that's how he knew to do it.
Sam, Haddonfield is 150 miles away from here. Now, for God's sakes, he can't drive a car. He was doing very well last night. Maybe someone around here gave him lessons.
But now I'm also bummed that there's no driving stage. Anyway, Haddonfield is where it gets difficult. There's so much coming at you at all times, and like I said, it's all about memorization. There's a lot of fun Easter eggs in the background if you feel like you have time to look at them, like what's up with these 2 kids in the skeleton costumes that are beating the crap out of that other kid. I don't know. And at the end of the first part, you get to see the classic Michael Myers house in the background. Wait, wasn't the Myers house a giant blue castle-like building? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Actually, Halloween 5 isn't that bad, you guys. It's not that bad. And then guess who are the bosses here? It's a 2-for-1. That's right, you have Laurie Strode and Dr. Loomis. Taking place in Laurie's bedroom, as you can see the broken closet in the background. Both of them are throwing projectiles, Molotov cocktails, but they're not really that hard to beat. Just stun one of them with the projectile and then jump up and slash the shit out of them. That's really all you have to do. This is the only time Dr. Loomis shows up in the game, though, which is a shame, and you can actually play the entire game as Laurie Strode, which makes me wonder if you make it to this part of the stage, is it Laurie throwing items at Laurie? I don't know. I guess I'll have to play through it to find out. Then there's the fourth stage where you're going to get really frustrated. It's the Haddonfield Cemetery, which is a stage for a reason, but I think it was a missed opportunity to not have a hospital setting like in Halloween 2. Anyway, this is the stage where Michael is killing all of the homeless people in town. Normally, I would say that's a bad thing, but it is Michael Myers here. What, is he not allowed to kill someone just because they're homeless? It reminds me of the time people got mad that Michael Myers killed firefighters and a gay couple in Halloween Kills. No, that really happened. People got mad at that. The movie's called Halloween Kills. If anything, it makes Michael Myers more inclusive. He doesn't care what your sexuality or your social status is. He's going to kill you anyway, and that's why we love him. But if you want to know who the boss for this stage is, okay, remember, back out if you don't want any spoilers, but it's the ghost of Judith Myers. Yeah, Michael's first victim, his older sister Judith, who honestly we never really learn anything about because she's killed in the first 5 minutes of the first movie, but apparently her spirit is angry as shit. She is also the easiest boss to beat in the entire game. No joke, I beat her on one try. Just one. But, you know, I think that was on purpose. Because the final stage is an absolute masterclass in platformer difficulty. If you want to feel the burning rage of evil behind your blank, cold, emotionless face and stare so intently at your screen that your retinas burn out of your skull, giving you the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, well, here you go. The entire stage is a hellscape, where demons, monsters, these annoying flying shitbags, slugs, slime, lava, spikes, and every other thing that you can possibly imagine is all trying to kill you all at the same time. And remember, when you die, you go right back to the start. When I tell you that I almost, and I mean I almost quit this thing here. Now, maybe I just suck, which is totally a possibility, but holy shit, if I thought the game was challenging before this, I was talking out my ass. This is worse than wearing a silver shamrock mask on Halloween. This is worse than being infected with the curse of the thorn. This is worse than Halloween Resurrection. Okay, okay, it's not that bad. But if you were to ask me if I would rather play through this stage again or watch Halloween Resurrection, I mean, I would pick playing this stage, but I'd have to really think about it first. And that's saying a lot. Like this part where the spike walls that you can't touch and the platforms that disappear after 0.2 seconds after you touch them. And this is like 3/4 of the way through the stage. So you have to somehow get here with enough life left over that you can afford some fuck ups on the spikes because it's inevitably gonna happen again and again. It's no wonder Michael Myers is so angry all the time. What if this is how he actually sees the world 24/7? I mean, I'd be stabbing every motherfucker I saw too if that was the case. Anyway, once you get to the final boss, yes, it's obviously the Overlord, but before that, you have to face yourself, and I love how he shows up in the ghost sheet. But it's Michael Myers versus Michael Myers, and he has all of your abilities and your weapons. Also, this is the kind of final boss fight where you have to beat both bosses on the same try without an extra life. Meaning, however much damage you get fighting Michael Myers is whatever you're going to be left over with when you fight the Overlord. The Overlord is not that difficult. You just dodge some of his attacks and you jump up and slash him a bit. But it's getting to him with enough life to make it matter, which is the hard part. But it does make it very satisfying when you finally beat him. Now look, I'm not a hard guy to please when it comes to video games. This was an enjoyable enough experience for me, but it's going to completely depend on literally two things for you. Do you like side-scrollers, and are you a fan of Halloween? If neither of those things are true, then nothing here is going to impress you. For me, though, that was enough. And I've only played half the game. There is a whole other Evil Dead game that I also have here to get into. Also, like I said, you can play through both worlds with either Michael Myers or Ash. And if you get both games together, you already have Laurie Strode from Halloween and Kelly from Evil Dead. If you've only seen the Evil Dead movies, Kelly is from the Ash vs. Evil Dead TV show. She's a badass. That show is awesome. If you haven't watched it yet, please get on it. Anyway, I thought this would be a perfect, fun, and kind of different video for spooky season. I don't normally do video game reviews, and I'm just kind of having fun with this, and hopefully you guys liked it. If you want me to do a video on the Evil Dead game portion, let me know in the comments, and if you've played this, tell me what you thought about it. Now, you can buy them individually at $25 a piece, so if you only want one or the other, or you can get both together with everything for $50. Depending on how you feel about it, it might not be worth the price tag, which I understand. I took a gamble on it because I wasn't sure either, but I am enjoying it for what it is. Also, I'm very biased when it comes to stuff like this, so use your own judgment. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. I do appreciate it. Please give it a thumbs up and a comment if you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down below. And if you want to support the channel on a deeper level, I do have Patreon channel memberships and all the social media links where you can follow me in the description. Other than that, guys, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll talk to you next time.